If we give him that second dose, he dies. The words left my mouth before I had time to decide whether saying them would cost me my job. For half a second, Trauma 2 went silent. Then every monitor started screaming again. The man on the table couldn't have been older than 30. Dark hair soaked with sweat. Skin gray beneath the fluorescent lights. Blood stained the side of his shirt, but not enough. That was what bothered me. His blood pressure had crashed to 68/40. His pulse was tearing past 150. His rhythm kept changing in ways that didn't match the wound near his ribs. "Claire, step back," Dr. Harris snapped. I didn't. The paramedics had brought him in 12 minutes earlier after his SUV hit a concrete divider 3 blocks from St. Vincent. No identification. No family. Just an expensive watch, tailored clothes, and a black medical pouch one of the EMTs said had been found beside him. Dr. Harris reached for another ampoule from that pouch. My stomach tightened. "Don't." His eyes cut toward me. "Excuse me." I grabbed the empty ampoule from the tray. The label looked perfect. The seal didn't. A thin ridge of adhesive circled the glass where the factory band should have been smooth. Someone had opened it, then resealed it. "He's not bleeding enough to be crashing like this," I said. And his rhythm changed after the first dose. "You're making an assumption." "No. I'm watching him die." The monitor shrieked. His heart rate vanished into one long tone. Everything moved at once. "Code." I climbed onto the stool and started compressions while another nurse pulled the crash cart closer. 30 compressions. Breath. 30 more. His chest gave beneath my palms. Too young. Too fast. Whatever had happened to him before the crash was still happening inside his body. "Stop the medication. Treat this as a toxic exposure until we know what was in that ampoule," I said. Dr. Harris hesitated. Now, maybe it was the desperation in my voice. Maybe it was the numbers. He changed course. Minutes blurred into commands, syringes, oxygen, sweat beneath my scrubs. Then, a beat. Another. The monitor found a rhythm. Weak. Ugly. Alive. I stared at the green line crawling across the screen and realized I had stopped breathing. "He's back," someone whispered. I stepped away from the bed, hands trembling only after the danger had passed. That was when the ER doors opened. Not loudly. That would have been easier. Instead, men in dark suits entered one after another and positioned themselves along the corridor with the quiet precision of people who expected everyone else to move. And everyone did. Doctors lowered their voices. Security guards suddenly looked uncertain. Then he walked in. Tall. Black hair. Charcoal suit. No visible panic. But his eyes went directly to the man I had just brought back from the dead. He crossed the room, pressed 2 fingers against the patient's wrist, then looked at the monitor. Only after that did he look at me. His gaze dropped once to the badge clipped to my scrubs. Claire Bennett, RN, then returned to my face. His stare was cold enough to slow my heartbeat. Who touched his medication before he got here? Not who saved him. Not is my brother alive. That question. My mouth went dry. You're his brother? His expression barely changed. Adrian Cole. The name meant nothing to me. The reaction around us did. He turned to a man near the doorway. Lock down the route. Driver. Cameras. Medical bag. Nobody leaves until I know what happened. The man nodded, moved immediately to Ethan's door, and took position beside it. Then he stepped beneath the light. A scar beneath his left ear. Gray eyes. A face I had spent 9 years trying to forget. My father bleeding on concrete. That same man kneeling beside him, then disappearing before the police arrived. My chest went cold. You. He froze. Adrian noticed. Slowly, he looked from me to the man guarding his brother's door. You know her? The man answered without blinking. No, I stared straight at him. He's lying. Tell me where you saw him. Adrian Cole didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Within seconds, the hallway outside Trauma 2 had emptied. Nurses disappeared behind swinging doors. 2 suited men moved toward the elevators. Even hospital security kept its distance. Only Adrian, Nathan, and I remained. Nathan stood beside Ethan's door as if I hadn't just accused him of lying. 9 years had changed his hair, not his eyes. I asked you a question, Claire. The fact Adrian already knew my name unsettled me. An underground parking garage. 9 years ago. Nathan's jaw tightened. My father was Detective Thomas Bennett. Something flickered across Adrian's face. Recognition. Small. But I saw it. You know that name. Before he could answer, an alarm erupted behind us. Ethan. I ran. Whatever Nathan had done 9 years ago could wait. My patient couldn't. Ethan's pressure was falling again. 74 systolic. I called. Dr. Harris checked the monitor. Another reaction? Maybe residual toxin. For the next 20 minutes, there was no mafia boss. No dead father. No man from a nightmare I had spent years trying to bury. There was only a patient. We adjusted treatment, repeated labs, stabilized his rhythm. Finally, Ethan's blood pressure began climbing. 80, 92, 100. Relief came quietly. So did exhaustion. When I stepped outside again, Adrian was on the phone. Check the crash site twice. I want every camera between Ethan's apartment and the hospital. A pause. No retaliation. His eyes hardened. Not until I know who I'm retaliating against. He ended the call. Nathan approached him. The route was changed 12 minutes before the crash. Adrian went still. By whom? Secure dispatch authorization. How many people have access? 5. Something passed between them that I didn't understand. But I understood enough. Whoever had tried to kill Ethan wasn't some stranger. Adrian looked toward his brother's room. Find the 5. My shift ended at 5. I changed slowly, my body finally remembering it had been awake all night. Then I opened my locker. Nothing looked disturbed. My spare scrubs were folded. Shoes untouched. Wallet still inside my bag. But one thing was missing. A photocopied newspaper clipping I had carried for years. Detective Thomas Bennett found dead in parking garage. My pulse jumped. Someone had searched my locker. Someone had known exactly what to take. You shouldn't be alone. I spun around. Nathan stood at the entrance to the locker room. Get away from me. Claire. You disappeared before the police arrived. Pain crossed his face. I know. I saw you beside my father. I know. Then tell me who killed him. Silence. My anger burned hotter. You don't get to hide behind silence for 9 years and call it protection. Nathan glanced toward the corridor. Then his eyes dropped to my scrub pocket. Do you still have your father's watch? My fingers instinctively closed around the old silver watch inside it. Nathan saw the movement and went pale. I had never told anyone at this hospital about that watch. You knew he left it with me? I knew he meant for you to keep it. I never knew why. What's inside it? He didn't answer. Footsteps approached. Adrian appeared 20 feet away. Nathan looked at him, then back at me. For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. Something people have killed for before. Saving your brother does not give you the right to rearrange my life. Adrian stood across from me in an empty consultation room, one hand resting beside Ethan's chart. I know. Then tell your men to stop following me. No. The answer came so calmly that it made me angrier. I had slept 3 hours since leaving the hospital. When I returned for my next shift, a black sedan had been parked across from my apartment. Another waited outside St. Vincent. I'm not one of your people. I'm aware. I did my job. His dark eyes held mine. That's what makes this inconvenient. I almost laughed. You have an interesting definition of inconvenient. The person who poisoned Ethan knows someone recognized the medication was compromised. He paused. That someone is you. My anger cooled by 1 degree. Adrian continued. My brother's route was changed through an encrypted dispatch system. His medication was altered before the crash. Someone inside my organization planned both. And you think they'll come after me? I think intelligent people remove witnesses. The way he said it frightened me more than a threat would have. No drama. Just arithmetic. I folded my arms. Hospital security can escort me. Your men stay out of my apartment. No tracking my phone. No gifts. No deciding where I work. Adrian studied me. He was clearly used to negotiations where the other person had nothing he wanted except boundaries. Agreed. That surprised me. Then he added, if the situation changes, I tell you. I don't decide for you. Something in my chest shifted. Barely. Fine. When I returned to Ethan's station 20 minutes later, a coffee sat beside his chart with cream and sugar packets untouched beside it. No note. No instruction. Adrian was already gone. I hated that I knew exactly who had left it, and that he had not presumed to know how I took it. Across town, Adrian apparently had another meeting. I learned about it hours later when Nathan returned to Ethan's floor with an expression carved from stone. Adrian had gathered his senior captains. His uncle, Victor Cole, wanted immediate retaliation against Gabriel Barrett, the rival boss whose ammunition had supposedly been found near Ethan's wrecked SUV. Adrian refused. The evidence was too clean. Too obvious. Barrett ammunition. A Barrett vehicle. A Barrett contact number. Someone wanted Adrian angry. Angry men made predictable decisions. Adrian didn't. He gave 4 senior men 4 different locations for a supposed retaliation strike. A trap. Whichever location leaked would narrow the betrayal. While he hunted his traitor, I hunted mine. Not a person, a timeline. I reviewed Ethan's admission labs again. Then I saw it. The toxin concentration. Too high. It had entered his system before the crash. The crash hadn't been the attack. It had been the result. Someone close enough to Ethan had poisoned him before he ever entered that SUV. I found Nathan near the service stairwell. You knew my father. His face closed. We worked the same investigation. On what? I can't tell you yet. My hands curled. There it is again. Claire, men keeping secrets, then calling it protection. It kept you alive. Did it keep my father alive? That hit him. Nathan looked away. Behind me, the stairwell door opened. Adrian. He had heard enough. His gaze moved to Nathan. If you know something that puts her in danger, you tell me now. Nathan's voice dropped. If I tell you, she'll never trust your family again. Adrian became perfectly still. My family. He woke up when Victor Cole walked into the room, and the first thing Ethan did was look afraid. Not confused. Not relieved. Afraid. I was checking his when his eyes opened for the first time in 4 days. Ethan. His gaze struggled to focus. Then Adrian was beside me. The transformation was almost unsettling. The man who could silence hallways with a glance leaned toward his brother and quietly said, I'm here. Ethan's fingers closed weakly around Adrian's hand. For several seconds, Adrian wasn't a mafia boss. He was just a brother who had nearly lost the last person he couldn't replace. I looked away before he caught me seeing him differently. You need to rest, I said. Ethan ignored me. Freight accounts. Adrian's expression sharpened. What about them? I found transfers. Coal shipments that weren't ours. How many? Months of them. Ethan swallowed painfully. I copied. The door opened. A silver-haired man entered carrying the warmth of someone arriving at a family bedside. Thank God. Ethan stopped talking. The monitor accelerated. 98. 110. 124. I looked at Ethan. Then at the newcomer. Adrian noticed too. My uncle, he said. Victor Cole. Victor approached the bed. You scared 10 years off my life, kid. Ethan said nothing. Victor turned toward Adrian. This has gone far enough. Barrett tried to kill your brother. Every captain is waiting for you to answer. Adrian's face revealed nothing. You're right. Victor blinked. So we move? Tonight. Victor smiled. Small. Satisfied. I looked at Adrian. He didn't look back. Later, I learned he had lied. Adrian gave 4 senior men 4 different targets for the supposed retaliation. A warehouse. A nightclub. A freight yard. A private garage. Victor received the freight yard. No attack was planned. Adrian was waiting to see which location reached Barrett. While he set his trap, I returned to Ethan's records. His toxin levels had bothered me since night 1. Now I checked his medication history. 1 daily supplement. Same brand for 3 years. Delivered to his private office every month. The poison hadn't required access to his car. Only his routine. Someone who knew exactly what Ethan took every morning had prepared the attack before he ever left work. The hospital toxicology team had also finished testing the black medical pouch found beside him. It was Ethan's own emergency kit, but 2 ampoules inside had been opened and professionally resealed. The pattern finally made sense. The supplement was the first attack. The crash was supposed to look accidental. The compromised emergency medication was insurance in case he survived long enough to be treated. When Adrian returned, I showed him. He read the report twice. You found this yourself? Yes. His eyes lifted. You saw what my people missed. Coming from him, it sounded almost like an apology. So I asked the question I had been avoiding. Did your family kill my father? Adrian didn't answer immediately. That frightened me. Finally, I don't know. I searched his face. For calculation. For the polished lie powerful men used when truth became inconvenient. I found neither. And for the first time, I believed him. The relief lasted 17 minutes. Nathan entered Ethan's room carrying a sealed envelope. Your trap worked. Adrian stood. Which location? The freight yard. Victor's location. My skin went cold. Nathan placed a photograph on the table. A Barrett crew had attacked the empty yard exactly 40 minutes after Victor received the false plan. Someone inside Barrett was working with someone inside the Cole family. But Adrian wasn't looking at the attack photographs. He was staring at another image Nathan had recovered from one of the men. I stepped closer. My breath stopped. My father stared back at me. Detective Thomas Bennett. Alive. 9 years younger. Someone had photographed him without his knowledge. Adrian turned it over. 5 words had been written across the back. Bennett had the original. Then beneath them, find the daughter. My father had been dead for 9 years, and somehow men were still hunting what he had hidden. I stared at the photograph until Thomas Bennett stopped looking like evidence and became my father again. The crooked tie, the tired eyes, the expression he wore whenever he knew I was worried but refused to admit something was wrong. Find the daughter. Adrian reached for the photograph. I pulled it away. No, his hand stopped immediately. Claire, no more pieces. I want the truth. Nathan closed Ethan's door behind us. For once, he didn't tell me I was safer not knowing. Your father and I worked together. My throat tightened. On Victor. On something bigger. 9 years earlier, Nathan had still been a Chicago detective. My father discovered money moving through Cole-controlled freight companies without the knowledge of Richard Cole, Adrian's father. Weapons. Cash. Payments to police. Victor had built an operation inside his own family. Thomas needed someone he could trust. Nathan became his confidential contact. The night he died, I asked. Nathan's eyes lowered. He called me from that garage. By the time I arrived, Victor's men were gone. The concrete. My father bleeding. Nathan's hands covered in blood. I had spent 9 years remembering the wrong part. You were trying to save him. Yes. Why did you disappear? 2 detectives on his task force were being paid. If I stayed, I was next. My anger didn't disappear. It changed direction. You could have told me. I was ordered not to contact you. By whom? Nathan looked at Adrian. Not an answer, but enough to make my stomach turn. Then his eyes dropped to my scrub pocket. The watch. I took out my father's silver watch. The glass was scratched. The hands had stopped years ago at 3:17. Nathan carefully opened the back casing. Nothing. I never saw the inside of it, he said quietly. Thomas only told me you were supposed to keep it. Then Adrian noticed faint engraving beneath the inner rim. L. 214. Union. I knew immediately. Union Station. My father had used evidence lockers there during undercover investigations. Adrian wanted Nathan to retrieve it. I closed my fist around the watch. No, Claire. If my father left something for me, I'm going. Adrian's jaw tightened. So am I. 2 hours later, we stood beneath Union Station while Nathan watched the corridor. Locker 214 opened with 0317. Inside sat a sealed envelope, financial ledgers, and a flash drive wrapped in plastic. No miracle. No confession. Just 9 years of patience. Adrian opened the ledger. His expression hardened. Payments moved between shell companies tied to Victor Cole. Then Barrett accounts. My father hadn't uncovered one corrupt family. He had uncovered men inside 2 rival organizations secretly profiting together. I found a photograph beneath the drive. Victor, 2 police detectives, and a younger Gabriel Barrett. Adrian went completely still. Claire. I barely heard him. There was handwriting on the back. My father's handwriting. I knew every angle of it. Every letter. My hands began shaking as I read the sentence. If anything happens to me, don't trust Cole leadership. Slowly, I raised my eyes. Adrian was standing directly across from me. And for the first time since he entered that hospital, I wondered whether saving his brother had put me beside the one man my father had died warning me about. Your father wasn't warning you about me. Adrian's voice was quiet beneath Union Station, but I tightened my grip on the photograph anyway. Cole leadership, I said. That's what he wrote. 9 years ago. So, 9 years ago, I wasn't leading the family. The answer stopped me. Adrian's father, Richard Cole, had still been alive when mine died. I turned to Nathan. He looked like a man watching an old grave open. Tell her, Adrian said. Nathan hesitated. Adrian's eyes hardened. Now. Richard knew Thomas was investigating Victor. I waited. Nathan swallowed. After your father died, Richard paid me. The station seemed to tilt. Paid you for what? Silence. I looked at Adrian. Something in his expression told me he already knew. How long have you known? Since Nathan recognized your father's name. Cold spread through me. Night 1. He had known since night 1. You let me trust you. I was verifying what the payment meant. You decided what I was allowed to know. I decided not to accuse my dead father without evidence. That's control, Adrian. Not protection. His jaw flexed. He could have argued. He didn't. I walked away, and the most frightening man in Chicago let me. By afternoon, Ethan's forensic accountant had decrypted part of the flash drive. Nathan called me once. I almost ignored him. Almost. Richard's payments hadn't bought silence. They had funded Nathan's disappearance after two compromised detectives started hunting him. Richard had also arranged anonymous protection around me until I left for nursing school. My father's warning had been about the cold leadership of his time because he hadn't yet known whether Richard was involved. Victor had made sure he never learned the answer. One question closed. A worse one opened. Victor had survived inside the Cole family for 9 years. Adrian responded the way Adrian responded to everything. He planned. That evening, he met Gabriel Barrett inside a private restaurant closed to the public. Nathan later told me Adrian entered with 2 men. Gabriel brought 2. No armies. No theater. Adrian placed my father's ledger between them. Gabriel denied ordering Ethan's murder. Then Adrian showed him the photograph. Gabriel stared at his younger face beside Victor. That wasn't me working with Cole, he said. That was my lieutenant using my accounts. 2 traitors. 2 families. 1 manufactured war. Victor hadn't simply wanted Ethan dead. He wanted Adrian furious enough to attack Barrett and destroy his own judgment. Adrian offered Gabriel a temporary truce. Find the men inside both organizations. Then settle everything else later. Gabriel agreed. I returned to my apartment after midnight. No black sedan waited outside. Adrian had kept his promise even after our argument, when breaking it would have made him feel safer. For the first time, I understood that restraint cost him something, and he had chosen it anyway. I unlocked my door. Nothing looked disturbed. Then my fingers entered my scrub pocket. Empty. My father's watch was gone. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Claire. Victor Cole's voice was warm enough to make me sick. Your father made the same mistake you did. What mistake? Believing Adrian Cole could protect him. My screen lit with an incoming photograph. Ethan asleep in his hospital bed. Time-stamped 30 seconds earlier. Taken from inside his room. Victor wasn't threatening me. He was making me look in the wrong direction. I stared at the photograph of Ethan sleeping and saw what Victor wanted me to see. A helpless patient, an unguarded room, a killer close enough to touch him. Then I noticed the pump. The screen showed 2:41 a.m. My phone showed 2:47. The photograph wasn't live. It was bait. I called Adrian. He answered on the first ring. Claire, someone inside the hospital is going after Ethan. No questions. No panic. Why? I explained the timestamp. Adrian went silent for 2 seconds. Then his voice changed. Not louder. Colder. Stay where you are. No. Listen to me. Victor wants you reacting to the photograph. Don't. Another pause. You're right. That mattered more than I wanted it to. Adrian didn't race to St. Vincent. He called Nathan. Within minutes, Ethan's floor went into a controlled lockdown while Adrian shut down Cole Communications and fed Victor one message. Claire Bennett had recovered Thomas Bennett's complete ledger. A lie. A deliberate one. Victor took it. At 3:06, a contracted orderly entered Ethan's floor using legitimate credentials. I recognized him from night 1. He had been standing beside Ethan's medication cart before the first contaminated ampoule was opened. Nathan stopped him 20 feet from Ethan's room. His phone contained payments routed through Victor's lieutenant. Security footage also placed him near the staff locker corridor the morning my newspaper clipping disappeared. The second attempt failed. For one beautiful minute, I thought we had won. Then Victor sent me an audio file. My father's voice filled my apartment. Breathless. Terrified. Claire, if you ever hear this. A recording cut off beneath the roar of a passing train. A message followed. Come hear the rest. I knew it was bait, so I did not plan to walk into it. I texted Adrian the audio timestamp, left my transit receipt beneath my kitchen lamp, and entered a note into Ethan's chart. Patient stable. Watch the quiet things. Adrian had heard me say those words after Ethan's poisoning. Danger wasn't always loud. Sometimes it waited. I took the train south intending to stay in public, identify the source area, and call Nathan the moment I had a location. I never reached the address Victor sent. 2 blocks from the abandoned coal logistics district, a delivery van rolled beside the curb. The side door opened. A man in an orderly's jacket stepped out behind me while another blocked the sidewalk ahead. Victor had predicted I would be cautious. He had simply planned one move further. My phone vanished into a gloved hand before I could unlock it. What I didn't know was that Adrian and Nathan's team were already cross-referencing the train noise in the recording with freight crossings, my transit line, and old coal properties. The pattern narrowed to a warehouse Victor had controlled before Adrian became boss. Nathan wanted to storm it. Adrian refused. Victor expected force. So Adrian attacked something more important. Power. He froze Victor's accounts, cut his crews from coal protection, turned 3 captains using evidence from my father's ledger. By the time Victor's men pushed me through the warehouse door, Victor was losing an empire without hearing a single shot. A steel door closed behind me. Then Adrian's phone rang miles away. Victor. Come alone, nephew. Nathan looked at the warehouse map. Aren't you going for Claire? Adrian buttoned his charcoal jacket. His expression didn't change. I'm going for his entire operation. By the time Adrian walked into Victor's warehouse, the war was already over. Victor just didn't know it yet. I stood beside a steel desk under a single hanging light, 2 of Victor's men blocking the exit behind me. He hadn't hurt me. He didn't need to. My father's silver watch lay on the desk between us. You came here for a recording, Victor said. I came for the truth. He smiled. Your father said the same thing. Outside, an engine stopped. Victor checked his watch. Right on time. The warehouse door opened. Adrian entered alone. Charcoal suit. Empty hands. No visible weapon. No fear. Victor laughed softly. You really did lose control over a nurse. Adrian looked at me once. That was enough. No command to stay quiet. No promise he would save me. Just a question in his eyes. Are you hurt? I gave the smallest shake of my head. Only then did his attention return to Victor. Your accounts are frozen. Victor's smile faded. 3 captains withdrew from you 40 minutes ago. Barrett has your eastern crews contained. Your lieutenant was identified through the hospital orderly's payments. Silence. Victor's men shifted behind me. Adrian hadn't come to negotiate. He had come to announce an execution of power. Not a man. An empire. You poisoned Ethan's daily supplement because he found the freight transfers. You changed his route so he would crash near Barrett territory. You planted Barrett evidence because you needed me angry. And you tampered with the emergency ampoules in his own medical kit so that if the crash failed, the treatment might finish him. Victor's face hardened. You were supposed to start a war. I know. You should have. No, the side door burst open. Nathan. Everything happened fast. One of Victor's men reached beneath his jacket. Nathan intercepted him before he could draw. The second man looked toward Victor, then toward Adrian, and stepped away. Victor finally understood. Nobody was willing to die for a boss who no longer controlled anything. Minutes later, Adrian's senior captains entered. Nathan placed Thomas Bennett's ledgers on the desk. Ethan's forensic reports followed. The contaminated medication, the dispatch authorization, the freight transfers, the leaked decoy location, the hospital payments. 9 years of secrets converged beneath one yellow light. Victor looked at Adrian. Your father tried legitimacy. It made him weak. So you betrayed him. I preserved the family. You tried to murder Ethan. I tried to save what you were destroying. Victor pointed toward me. And then she appeared. You lost control the second that nurse walked into your life. Adrian's eyes found mine. No, his voice softened by half a degree. I learned where control ends. Victor was removed by his own captains. No gunfire. No dramatic revenge. Just the coldest punishment a man like Victor could receive. Nobody obeyed him anymore. Afterward, Nathan handed me my father's watch. There's one thing left. He played the recovered recording. My father's voice filled the warehouse. If Claire ever learns any of this, tell her I could have run. My breath caught. But if I ran, Victor kept the truth. She deserved a life where men like him didn't own it. The recording ended. For 9 years, I had imagined my father dying afraid. Now I knew he had stayed by choice. I wiped my face before turning toward Adrian. Why did you protect me? He said nothing. Because you cared about me? Or because I became part of your war? His answer came without mercy. At first, a beat. You were a liability I couldn't afford to lose. It hurt because I believed him. And now, Adrian looked at me for a long moment. Now you're the one thing I won't keep by force. 6 weeks later, Adrian Cole was still the most feared man in Chicago. He just no longer decided what was best for me without asking. Ethan left St. Vincent 12 days after the night I saved him. I stood beside his wheelchair while he complained about hospital coffee, discharge instructions, and Adrian treating him like he might shatter. You nearly died twice. I reminded him. Technically, the first time was closer. Adrian looked at him. Ethan stopped smiling. Some things hadn't changed. Nathan found me before I left. He held a small leather case. Inside was my father's restored badge. Beside it sat a copy of his final recording. I should have told you years ago, Nathan said. Yes. No easy forgiveness. No pretending 9 years of silence disappeared because I finally understood why. Nathan nodded. I know. That was enough for now. Victor's organization collapsed quickly. The captains who had supported him swore loyalty back to Adrian or disappeared from coal business entirely. Gabriel Barrett exposed his own lieutenant, and the temporary truce became a strict territorial agreement. Adrian didn't leave his world. He didn't suddenly become harmless. Men still lowered their voices when he entered rooms. He still controlled the coal organization, still made decisions that frightened people. But Victor had taught him something power never had. Control could keep an empire. It couldn't make someone trust you. The last time Adrian and I spoke before Ethan's discharge, we stood alone outside the hospital. He offered me nothing. No apartment. No money. No security detail. No promise to fix my life. I noticed. I spent most of my life making sure people stayed because leaving me was expensive, he said. And me? His eyes held mine. I don't want that from you. What do you want? A choice I can't buy. Then he walked away. For 6 weeks, I didn't see him. He kept the hardest promise he had made me. Space without punishment, silence without abandonment. Life became ordinary again. Night shifts, cold coffee, patients who yelled at me because they were scared. The silver watch returned to my scrub pocket, repaired but still scratched. I kept the scratches. Some things deserved evidence that they had survived. At 2:11 one morning, I stepped through St. Vincent's doors after another 16-hour shift. And stopped. Adrian stood across the street. Alone. No black SUV at the curb. No men surrounding him. I knew Nathan was probably somewhere nearby. Adrian Cole didn't survive this long by becoming careless. But he had remembered my boundary. More importantly, he stayed where he was. He waited. So I crossed the street. A faint smile touched his mouth. Ethan says I owe you his life. Ethan talks too much. He does. Silence settled between us. Not uncomfortable. Different. I don't owe you, Claire, Adrian said. Good. His expression changed. The Mafia Boss disappeared for exactly 1 heartbeat. I love you. No demand. No claim. No you belong to me. Just the truth, placed between us where I could accept it or walk away. So I reached for his hand. The first night I met Adrian Cole, I thought power meant making everyone obey. I was wrong. Real power was knowing you could close your hand and choosing to leave it open. I saved Ethan because it was my job. Adrian protected me because he thought it was his. But somewhere between a poisoned heartbeat, my father's watch, and a war that almost began, we learned the same thing. Protection wasn't love. Choice was. And this time, I chose him.